family, Lego. Why they be down the boy? Tell them it's part of the plan. Hundreds of underdog feeding them slaps. The gains in the palm of my hand. Whoa, they want me to fail, this is personal. They sleeping on me, this is perjury. You make it, nobody has heard of you. Tell them that the pregnant beat for the surgery. Killing it, they ain't gotta gas me up. Do it myself, I'm drilling it. How many times did they pass me up? I'm cool, can walk on my shoes, I'm kicking it. Run at your beat, cause they see that it's working. Grow from the air, they see wheels on the surface. Flaunting my wings, I do it on purpose. Playing with you till you cry to the circus. One time for the underdogs, 2 times till they doubted me. You know I did it for my mama.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the WRC USA YouTube channel. This video is going to be to go over the newly released ST8E 1/8 scale Eco short course truck. We've been putting some reel out there about it, showing some performance shots, and yeah, it was the video's overdue about the actual kit release itself and what's it all about and what do you get. So yeah, this is pretty much the working prototype that we were testing with. Andy Morales and I spent a lot of time at Palm Desert RC Raceway, late night, early mornings, to get some privacy and test it in different configurations. And yeah, make some adjustments, get some feedback and footage, send it back to the factory, and then kind of adjust from there. So that being said, this is like I said, this is the working prototype, but it is pretty much 95%, probably a little bit higher, what is indicative of what's in the current production kit. This body is obviously the test body. It's taking some licks. It's got different mounting holes because we were playing with the mounting positions of the body and things of that nature. But yeah, you can see that it's definitely taking some licks. So yeah, that's why it doesn't have a nice pretty body on it. Don't pay attention to these. These are actually, again, I'll get into what these are, but yeah, these are added on. They're not part of the kit. We added these on, for handling characteristics and whatnot, especially going through the air when you're jumping. So I'll get to these in a second. So yeah, let me pull off the body here, kind of so you guys could all get a look at it. So this is pretty much, this one in particular is based off the SPX3 e-buggy. We're currently on the SPX4. That's the most recent version or generation of the e-buggy. This is the 3, right? So it's right before. The major differences obviously are, the side guards or previous generation. It's still running a single 4S pack because we felt that it was the best way to power the Eco short course truck. And yeah, that's pretty much what some of the major differences are, right? Because what I'm going to go into here in a second is this is a kit build. This is not a ready to run, so it does not come in the box fully assembled. So yeah, I saw some comments online thinking that this was a ready to run. It's definitely not a ready to run. It's a dedicated short course kit build that you do have to fully assemble. However, it has all the components included for you to assemble what you see here, right? You'll just have to provide your LiPo, ESC, motor, and servo. One other thing I want to point out that wasn't part of the release from the factory is that for the time being, this is being shipped without a body because the body that's being molded for this is still in production. They hit a couple of snags there, but the body looks pretty sleek. It looks pretty sick, and I can't release any photos of it because I haven't been given the authority to do so because they're still, again, it's still pre-production. So once that gets released, the kits will ship with the body. The kits we're selling now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to provide discount codes to some people that want to or anybody that wants to purchase it. I'm going to put the discount code here. So I'm going to kind of, I should say, the factory and I are going to take the hit on, reducing the price a little bit to offset the fact that you're going to have to buy a body for now. And I'm going to provide the dimensions of the body that you would need to purchase for this for it to clear all the components and whatnot. So pretty much I would say most of the larger 1/7, 1/8 scale bodies that are out there on the ready to runs will work for this. The body we've been testing with is the Arma Mojave. That's the body that's readily available. You can get them online, and yeah, we needed a body for testing, and that's the one we used. So that's not the body that's going to be in the production truck, or in future production trucks, but the body looks pretty sick. So yeah, that's I got overruled on that. I don't want to release until the body was ready. I got overruled. So I think what the right thing for me to do is to discount the kits a bit so that you can offset that cost. So that's just what I'm doing, because like I said, I think that's the best thing to do. All that being said, like I said, this being a dedicated kit build, there's no modifications or dremeling or anything that needs to be done when you assemble it. It's pretty much, they develop their own unique part number mount and skid plate for the front and for the rear, that attaches to the chassis, or by way of the chassis sliding underneath the front and rear suspension or the clip, and then they use reinforced mounting locations that are already part of the shock tower, right? And the only thing that was really unique also is that they had to machine a D block to fit, because it's got to clear obviously the support for the skid plate to go underneath, and then also the brace here that's molded and integrated literally is a cover, and it goes over the D block, right? And then the whole thing bolts to the bulkhead the way you normally would do it. So sorry, I'm doing my best here, guys. I'm definitely not a digital media creator. I'm definitely working on that, but this is just to give you kind of a gist of what makes up the WIRC ST8E short course truck. So like I said, it's nothing really too crazy going on here. It's basically, it is the RTX Truggy chassis, and it's the SPX3 front and rear suspension assembly bolted onto it. That's pretty much the most of the unique differences. Obviously, the shock towers are different because they had to be machined to accept the body mounts that are adjustable, right? You can adjust the height mainly based on what kind of body you're going to run and what kind of tires you're going to run. So that will transition to what I'm going to talk about next, which is the tire selections. Again, obviously, any tire with a 17 millimeter hex will fit on here. So yeah, you can get creative on what kind of tires you can put on here. These tires do really, really well for general purpose, bashing or taking it out in a field in the grass or the dirt or whatever. These will work fine. The goal for this, and the reason that we kind of jumped on board with these is, obviously Chase Ehrlich started it with his Techno. And yeah, when I saw that, it was really, really fun. We were chatting at one of the Palm Desert races, and I said, "Man, that thing's awesome." And he's like, he indicated, yeah, it'd be awesome if more brands came out and there was a class, right? So yeah, that's we did our part and kind of came out with one, so we can kind of partake in that fun. So as far as tire selection goes, if you want to race this and be competitive, you're definitely going to need a performance tire, a pin tire, or whatever tire is going to be suitable for the conditions that you're going to be at your local track. So we tested it with these tires. Gets around the track pretty good, but if the track's dry, these do okay, but obviously you're going to have to adjust your driving style because there's only so much grip you're going to get out of these tires, right? And then we tested it with 1/8 scale Truggy tires and 1/8 scale Buggy tires. And obviously when we were running the Truggy, we ran, we played with the gear ratios a bit. But what we settled on, actually the one that's the most fun to drive, the most responsive and the most competitive is running the Buggy gears. So even with Buggy gearing and with these tires or even Truggy tires, it's fast and a blast to drive. So with all the testing we've done, we didn't see any excessive wear of the gears. There was no overheating. There was nothing that indicated that we needed to offer different ratios for different tires selection. So again, as long as you maintain the diffs the way you normally would in a race, in your race chassis, the same thing applies here. That being said, the configuration that we found that landed on that handled the best, and I'm going to be, kind of interlacing some action shots of our test sessions and times that we've taken it out to the track, or 1/8 scale buggy tires. They definitely handle the best. Does it look the best? No. But if you're thinking about purchasing one of these so that you could compete in, a class of short course truck, at some point in the future, then, until tire companies come out with, scale pin tires, running the buggy tires, again, might not look the best, but if you want to be competitive in podium, definitely going to have to look past the way it looks and concentrate more on how it handles. Again, this is just kind of like, we're just kind of, everybody's going to be ahead of the curve on this. Again, all you really need for most club races is, 5-6 guys that show up and you can get a class put together. So that shouldn't be too hard to do. And I think that, between, Techno, ours, and I know some other manufacturers might be coming out with some too, we should be able to make that happen. So I'm confident that these will be a class, at some point in local club races. And obviously it'd be awesome to go to some larger events like, TNR 8 Main or, Arena Cross. We're definitely going to go back to the Nitro Compound. So we're hoping that the popularity kind of shoots up and then we start seeing more of these so we can get a class of them put together. If that happens, then I wouldn't see why tire manufacturers wouldn't start working on a scale tire of this size that's a performance tire, right? But again, development costs money and they have to see the need for it before they make that expense, right? So for now, you can run truggy or buggy tires, right? The performance tires. So yeah, you got to just look, get past the way it looks and concentrate on how it handles. If you're buying this just to bash or have in front of your house or in the field or whatever, then you can get a set of these tires. And even if you get the Mojave body, whatever body you select for now, or even the body that's being molded for this, the body that we're going to be providing for this is going to be pre-cut, but you're probably still going to have to trim it, even on the existing bodies like the Arma and whatever bodies are out there now. There will be some trimming involved because obviously you have to. There's no way for them to know exactly how you're going to run your dedicated or your particular car. So obviously, take in consideration, the compression, when you're at full turn, lock, that sort of thing. You have to kind of put the body on and, put it full weight, and then kind of, play with, how you're going to do your shocks and your spring rates and, your droop and all that, and then set on where you're going to trim the body, right? So there is going to be trimming involved no matter what. Not so much the case if you're going to run like a truggy tire or a buggy tire, right? Because we didn't really have to trim that much. The body sits. You can actually adjust the post and sit the body down a little bit lower. But yeah, like I said, for the most case, there's nothing really too crazy going on here, right? It's just, like I said, a truggy chassis with buggy, front and rear clip. And yeah, pretty much the skid plates, and reinforcement, the shock towers, yeah, like the body posts and all that are pretty much, what's unique about this, other than these are mostly off the shelf parts for existing WIRC cars, right? So those parts are available and they're interchangeable. You still get the same benefit of the upper arms are right and left are the same. You just flip them. I should take that back. The lowers are right, the same, left to right, you just flip them over. Same thing with the rears. It's definitely still, being shipped with the lightweight arms from the factory. And yeah, like I said, you just, select your preferred powertrain or whatever you want to call it, and put it together like you would any e-truggy, right? Let's see what else. As far as hop-up parts, WRC does offer hop-up parts for their platforms, but like for the most part, like it ships with the carbon plate, it ships with titanium camber links and steering links, right? So you don't have to go out and buy, buy those units unless you want a specific color. People anodize them now, I get it, but yeah, these are titanium from the factory. We offer these are right now the ones that are installed here are the bladder shocks. We do offer emulsion caps. We offer aluminum front and rear chassis braces. We have lightened out drives or out the actual out drive cup that goes to the pinion. We offer those in lightweight aluminum. Same thing for the out drives for coming out for the wheels and tires. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now on the right terminology, but yeah, like there are option parts available for these, but for the most part, like I want to speaking for our team drivers, but most of our team drivers really are just running basic kit setups. They kind of go unique on they change the diff fluids and whatnot, but for the most part they're not really installing anything crazy on these out of the box, right? You just got to get the setup the way you want it, and you should be good. Oh yeah, one thing I want to touch on too, this one has the 25 tooth WIRC aluminum servo horn. Those have been released recently. We also offer the aluminum throttle servo horns as well for the Nitro cars. So we also offer them in 23 tooth versions as well. So all that stuff's on the website now. And again, that's all kind of feedback that the factory got from us. When we took over and started this race team, we pointed out that they didn't offer aluminum servo horns. And maybe in Europe they can get away with it. Out here, the way the tracks are, it's only a matter of time. It's not if, it's when they strip out. So, again, what's good about the factory is that they have CNC machines on site. Their CAD guys are on site, so if they need to tweak a part or make adjustments, they can do that on site and then machine it downstairs or in the warehouse. They get us a part. So yeah, they were able to get us parts for these. It's the kind of touching on the relationship we have with the factory. We provide feedback, provide a description or validation, I guess, that this is why we're doing it. And yeah, the owner doesn't really give us a hard way to go. One thing we'll notice that just to let you know that this one was working prototype. I took an existing SBX3 from a previous driver we had on our team. I reacquired his cars. That's a separate video, I can tell you. And yeah, you can see it still has the previous buggy body mount on it, right? So I didn't take it off. That to say that if you really wanted to, let's say you had an older generation car, a WIRC car, you can purchase the components to convert yours to a short course, right? So you'd have to purchase the front and rear skid plate bumper assemblies. You'd have to purchase the body mounts and the shock towers, and then the chassis, right? The e-truggy chassis. So you can convert it if you wanted to. We just felt that offering a dedicated kit build was the way to go, because it just for me anyway. I didn't want the end user to have to buy this and then order these parts and then have to make any adjustments or Dremel or trim or anything like that. We just said let's do this right and release it dedicated with the components you need right in the box, right? So that's what we did here. Like I said, we will have a Nitro version of this. It is probably another week, maybe 2 behind this one. And I will give you a little sneak shot of it. There she is. That's the Nitro version. I'm going to do a separate video on that because we're still, I want to say, in pre-production. I want to make sure that the factory gives me the green light to do a video and show you under the hood. But for the most part, it's not much different than what you see here. Obviously, you're going to have Nitro components. Everything else is pretty much the same. But again, it's just I don't sign the check, so if they tell me to wait, then I wait, right? So stay tuned for that. That's highly anticipated. We've shown reel and video on our social media of that running. We took it to Arizona. The Nitro Compound, the Mod Media guys, definitely gave us a little bit of press out there. And that thing handled great. It was super. It looked super fun to drive. James Spratley wheeled both of these in Arizona for us. He's a good driver and made it look easy, right? And these cars are easy to drive, the WRC, I should say. But again, when you throw short course, components and change the characteristics, especially when you slap a short course body on it, yeah, the characteristics change. Again, like I only bought the actual shell of the body. I know you can buy the accessories, and aerodynamically, this thing gets a lot of air, from everywhere, right? So that's why we've never had any issues overheating, even at bigger tracks, because this thing's getting air from everywhere, right? So we didn't need to put a secondary fan on the motor. Even in warmer weather in Palm Desert, we're still, in the 80s and 90s late at night. So with this thing getting so much air because the body being so big, and obviously all these openings, we never got to an issue where there was, a thermaling out on the ESC was an issue, right, on the motor. But the drawback of that is, if it's pretty good wind or you're going at a pretty good pace, we have experienced some parachuting with the body. So obviously, yeah, so, I have some sheets of Lexan that I'm going to install a windshield on it to kind of see how that does. But again, you're still going to get some air because this is a short course truck, right? So yeah, we're going to experiment with that. Gets to these here. These are not in the kit. Actually, believe it or not, you can laugh if you want. But again, with our testing, I wanted to come with a new unique ways to see if this thing would benefit from having some sort of spoiler in the back, right, when you're going through the air. So far, when this thing jumps, it jumps pretty much level, maybe a little bit nose down, which is kind of, what we want so that it doesn't catch air and want to kind of like, do a backflip. It does require some, intervention on the transmitter, right? It's just the way you would a truck or buggy, kind of like throttle inputs to get the nose to come down or the tail to come down. But, again, these were kind of put on there to kind of see if they made a difference, to see if we wanted to go that route and look for a potential mounting, option for a spoiler to help with handling, right? Obviously, I went to my toolbox, and believe it or not, these are actually the mud guards that usually go here. I fab them up on the body, and, hey, that's testing, again, that's nothing new. We all do it. We all find new, unique ways to try to get an edge and an advantage, and that's what we were doing there. So I made use of what I had. Yeah, for the most part, like I said, there's nothing really going on here that's unique or groundbreaking, right? It's nothing really. We didn't have to reinvent the wheel. We didn't feel we needed to. It was a sound foundation already. We just wanted to have the components to make it a dedicated short course truck. This chassis has a lot of testing on it. You can see it's not too bad. So definitely, obviously, the ground clearance definitely helps. You definitely want to, valve the shocks, you know what I mean. You know what I mean by that. The pistons, whatever. Get them right for the conditions you're in, the fluids, whatever, to get this thing to hit the jump faces and land the way you want, right? So all that applies. All those setup tricks apply to this. You just have to maybe go, spend a day at the track and get it just right for the track and conditions that you have. Yeah, that's pretty much all I really got to kind of throw out there for this thing. If I miss anything or if you have any questions, please comment below. We always make it a point to try to get back to everybody, where you can reach out to us at off our website, WIRCUSA.com. Like I said, these kits are on there. We've already sold quite a few of them, and yeah, the Nitro is coming shortly, guys, so stay tuned for that. We will definitely release that on our social media, and I will release a video about that. But yeah, like I said, our website has these on there and also has all the components listed. So if you have a WIRC kit out there, you can definitely purchase all the components here to convert one if you wanted to, right? A lot of guys that have purchased the new SBX4 kits have SBX2 and SBX3, so you could convert it, save yourself a little money if you want. But if you want to just start fresh with a brand new kit, well, there you go. That's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, we want to thank everybody for all the continued support. We're looking forward to going out to Nevada State Champs this week. It's actually, today is Thursday, and we're leaving tomorrow. So yeah, I wanted to definitely get this video out there. I apologize for it being late, but I wanted to make sure that I had some other things tightened up here on our side before I released this video. But yeah, so if you see us out there in Vegas, come by, check them out. They both will be there on display. I don't know if we'll run them. Depends on how the setup goes, how it goes for us. But yeah, they'll definitely be there if you want to come check them out. And come by and say what's up. You know, we always like meeting people from all over, you know, that tune into these videos. And yeah, man, we love the feedback. We get it whether we ask for it or not. And yeah, like I said, we're looking forward to it. We're sponsoring the race this weekend. We plan to do more of that this coming year. So definitely, you know, you're going to see our name out there. You're going to see us more, not less. And, you know, if it pisses you off, deal with it. That being said, thanks everybody. Thanks again. And yeah, we'll see you out there.
Yeah, Fred Bentley, Lego. Why they be down the boy? Tell them it's part of the plan. I'm just the underdog feeding them slaps. The gains in the palm of my hand. Whoa, they want me to fail, this is personal. They sleeping on me, this is perjury. You make it, nobody has heard of you. Tell the doctor, prep the beat for the surgery. Killing it, they ain't gotta gas me up. Do it myself, I'm drilling it. How many times did they pass me up? I'm cool, can't walk on my shoes, I'm kicking it. Wanna jump in cause they see that it's working. Grow from the L's, they see wins on the surface. Flaunting my wins, I do it on purpose. Playing with you, take you class to the circus. One time for the underdogs, 2 times that they doubted me. You know I did it for my mama, no. Only people know who proud of me. Now I'm getting where I gotta be. Everybody want me to take off. You brought the beast from inside of me. I bet on myself and it paid off. They wanna hold me back, I said they must be joking. Look at me cool and calm, collected, yeah, I'm coasting. You ain't stop me, yeah, I got some motion. I got some motion. Been running it since I popped in.